we are recording in progress.
There.
You can minimize that screen. I
Yeah,
think.
I can do that.
Just hit the X button.
Don't hit the X.
Once you're ready to start the show, make sure the way. That makes you look more like the Rocky clock plugged in. Corona, thingamabob, nothing floating around.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Alright. And let's do it. And welcome to Let's Talk It All. I'm Anvil.
And I'm Jeff.
And as always, we're here to talk about it all.
We do have to go over the disclaimer tonight. Just remember, folks, this is for entertainment purposes only. The opinions and ideas expressed in this show are not necessarily the opinions of the show owners or the network
Or whatever. Or anyone.
or
Except
anyone really.
us.
You know, it's just for entertainment purposes only. Any names are that we say may or may not be real people. Coincidence?
And if they are real people, they may or may not have done what we said.
That's right. Not that we said. It's a question.
Well,
perhaps.
That alleged.
Alleged.
What we alleged
Happened or did.
Unless we say
Expired.
unless we say that was fact,
Yeah.
then assume everything we're saying is alleged.
Alleged.
That'll just make it.
Or did they?
Or did they?
Or
That'll
did
just
they? Yeah.
Probably make life a little bit easier. And
We're asking questions here.
we are.
That's all we're doing.
We all that's all.
Just
That's all we do.
I know we have some listeners out there.
We do have.
No, seriously, I know for a fact. And I can't. I'm going to say, I occasionally am part of a certain environment, and I can't go into details, but I have noticed a immense intensity of hostility towards me in this environment by the female genera of this environment, and a lot of them are younger. You know, they're in that millennium, youth group. They're progressive types.
The Hitler Youth Group.
Yeah, the Hitler Youth Group. The progressive types.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. And so, anyway, I think, it's just a show y'all taking on a little too personally, I think. I think it's the abortion thing that's really got them going. The anti-abortion thing.
Folks, it's been almost 3 weeks.
I've been pretty good about it.
And Jeff hasn't said the A word.
I've really tried.
So this is good. I can live with this. But this is Jeff and I in a basement with a big ass train setup thing in a bar with a Corona nightlight and a Rocky Balboa from the original movie Rocky.
Good.
Couple shoehorn
From
stretchers.
the EJ factory, actually.
Yeah.
That was right down the street here.
So, it's not like we're the ABC News and everything we say is factual and accurate.
That was a joke.
Oh,
That was a.
and let me tell you, they got some nice things out there. Pictures of the Martians landing and saying it's in Syria. Picture. I think that one picture was Rambo doing one of his things, and they were apologizing. He was going after the Kurds or some shit like that. It was funny. But it's been a couple weeks now, and they're still not living it down. Every now and then you still see a meme pop up that some some bizarre battle sequence, and
Battlestar Galactica.
and they say ABC reporting Turkey still attacking Kurds. It's like Tom Cruise in the War of the Worlds picture. So funny shit. But anyways, yes. So again, we do have listeners out. We do have listeners out there.
We do. We most certainly do.
I didn't mean to say we didn't. I know we have at least 22 in New York State.
Yeah.
We've got at least one in England. And we've got 4 in California, which is I find funny that we got any listeners out in California.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
And we have one. We just picked up one this past week in Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Oh
shit. Well, thank you.
Actually, we picked up London and Nebraska this past week.
Awesome.
So it's very exciting. Very exciting.
I actually I knew a neighbor when I was a kid. His name was Leonard, and he was a big train freak. And so I looked up to him, the same age as my older brothers. And I mean, he was a train freak.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this guy went to work for the railroad right out of high school. Got his GED and off he went. But he had a huge, like twice the size as my, layout.
Right.
Model trains.
Oh yeah, I never said that.
Blast. And anyway, Leonard's sister actually saw a Bigfoot when she was like 7 years old.
Really?
They had a big farm, and Leonard wasn't home, but she was home with her mama, and she started yelling. She was out on the front porch, one of those, big open porches, old farmhouse, and she saw a big hairy creature, step over the fence. Didn't climb over. It just stepped over it. One of those big, keep the cows in and shit.
Yeah.
And it was in the cow pasture, and she screamed for her mama, "Mama, there's a big bear out here!" Her mother came outside and saw it, and she went, "Ain't no bear!"
Ain't no bear.
Dragged her in the house, and the creature took off, and her mother started screaming. Unfortunately, I would have them on the show. One of them, I knew them quite well, but they're all dead. Leonard's dead, the sister's dead, and the mother's dead. They all died.
Jesus.
Yeah, no kidding. It's really kind of sad. They were actually really cool people.
I can say, because if he was a friend of yours, he must have been your age, right? Or was he much older?
Well, no, he was older. He was my brother's age, so he was 3 or 4 years older.
Probably not that much older, though.
4 years, 4 years,
You're still young pup.
Yeah, he died.
Compared to the rest of us.
He died like 10 years ago. So
compared to the rest of us in the room, you're still pretty young.
He died from a heart attack like at 40 or 41.
Been there.
I think the sister was an overdose of drugs, I think.
Haven't done that yet.
Mother was, heart related, maybe early 60s, so yeah. But yeah, I don't know why I just shared that because of Nebraska. I think that because it
in Nebraska.
So
I'm glad you did because it jogged my memory of some things we got to talk about. So.
Oh yeah, and I've got all
not Nebraska. Oh no, you get all
Sasquatch stuff.
So maybe we'll get my stuff out of the way.
I did want to hit just real quick before I forget.
Okay.
Roswell. I know we talked about last week. The Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Remember I said that's where they took the wreckage.
Yeah.
At the time it wasn't an Air Force base. It was actually the Army Air Force because the Air Force wasn't existent yet. The Air Force didn't come into being into September of '47. That was 18th or the 19th. It was signed into law in 1947, shortly after the Roswell crash. Now, during the war, World War II, everything that was recovered airwise, Japanese aircraft, whatever it may be, everything was shipped to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, or Army Air Force Base, I should say, and it was called T2. The counterintelligence location.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that went there was back engineered. That was the whole purpose of the base, and that was General MacArthur's actually orders that everything that was recovered would go to Wright-Patterson. And there was a saying that if it went into Wright-Patterson, it didn't come back out. It goes in, but it doesn't come back out. So the Hangar 18 story and all that stuff. There's a lot of legitimacy to that. That's where all the back engineering aspect was for the war during World War II. To try and back engineer some of these aircraft, the German aircraft, the V-2 rockets, all that shit actually ended up there. This is before Area 51 was even a thought in someone's mind. So just interesting. But go ahead, sir.
So anyways, it would just be what we did this past week, things we're doing. Usually we start talking about that. So show was Monday, and then not much going on, during the week. Then Friday, Alana and I went to Wilkes-Barre.
Wilkes-Barre?
Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah, I know they're...
Or Wilkes Bar.
Out down there.
Depending on where you're from,
Yeah.
where you call it the right name or not. And we went down to see Josh Gates live. You know who Josh Gates is?
Escaping me.
You may not. So, you may want to tell you. So, Josh Gates was, this was on the Sci-Fi Channel, back at the same time Ghost Hunters were on there, but he did Destination Truth. So, Josh is an archaeologist, and they would send him out to track down the Yeti and
I saw some of the
all
episodes.
the, it wasn't, he didn't do, I don't know if he even did any shows in America. He was always overseas tracking down, Cambodia's version of the Chupacabra or whatever it was. So he was doing that with Destination Truth. And then when Sci-Fi either didn't renew the show or whatever, he went on to do some other stuff. But he's been doing this for 11 years, so he's been doing it for a while. But he was going to be in Wilkes-Barre, and it was a live show. He was going to be on stage talking about, what he did and, those kind of things. Interesting guy. But you would think, what I found interesting, because he's done the ghost hunting, he's done the paranormal stuff, and, he's done looking for the creatures and river monsters and buried treasure, and so mermaids, mermen, whatever it is. And so one of the things we talked about, he showed you a statistic that the most recent poll showed that 48% of the Americans believe in ghosts. Now that was low, because I've seen higher numbers in previous polls. That was closer to 60 or 75. But maybe that's just the ones that believe in the afterlife.
Don't let them say fake news.
No, this is before fake news really started taking. This is before Trump became president. So maybe because Trump became president, it kind of lowered that number. And he said he wasn't convinced yet. And I'm thinking, this guy's been doing this crap for 11 years. He's been out with some of the top TV personalities doing this stuff, and he hasn't found that one piece of evidence. Because that's what it is, folks. If you're a skeptic, there's going to be that one piece of evidence. There's going to be that one moment that's an oh shit moment, and you're no longer a skeptic about it. And I just found it funny that he hadn't had that moment yet. And they were talking about Bigfoot and those kind of things, and that's even lower. That's like only 28%. That's crazy too, because at least you got paw prints and footprints and ridge patterns on the I'm like, whatever. So he's more inclined to believe he's a Yeti man. Dermal ridges. He's a Yeti man. He believes if he could prove anything, he'd want to prove that the Yeti was real. So I found it interesting. I found him. He's very personal, very likable. He's been doing this stuff for years and years. Even before he got the show, he would, work odd jobs and save up enough money to go somewhere and do something. And he's been to the top of Kilimanjaro, and
it's in the song, isn't it?
something like that. Yeah. So, which is, I think it's in Tanzania. So he's been there. He's climbed. Him and 3 or 4 of his buddies climbed to the top of this, and they got the pictures next to the sign that says you're at the summit of blah blah, the highest peak in Africa, whatever. But that was Friday, so that was interesting. That was a nice little excursion out and about. And then Sunday, well, we drove to Buffalo Saturday afternoon, stayed with our granddaughter, and then Sunday we had the psychic fair at the Statler Hotel in Buffalo, which is a very odd place. They got the main floor open and used where they got 2 ballrooms and meeting rooms and stuff like that. So they use the bottom floor for all this stuff, and then there's like 18 floors above it that are hotel that are basically shut down because they're renovating and working on getting them to do whatever.
Right.
But I know they probably do ghost tours there once every other month because the place is just creepy infested. But so we did Psych Fair Sunday, and that was kind of fun. And our boy Chip was there.
Chip
I
love Chip Coffee.
I didn't get to meet Chip because I was busy at my own table doing my own thing, my readings. And but he was the headliner. And if you wanted to do not just a private reading with Chip, but it was a group setting. It was a gallery reading. It was $60 a head to get in.
Holy cow!
Yeah. And then they had Alani and 4 other psychic mediums that did gallery readings throughout the day. Like Alani did it from like 1 to 2, and then someone else came 2 to 3, and 3 to 4, and then Chip came out at 4 o'clock. So it was an interesting day. It was a fun day. Alani got at least one person to cry, so she had a good day. She had a good day in the gallery. I said that's your goal. I said if you don't have at least one person in tears, then you probably weren't as on as you thought you probably should have been.
Right.
So she had one woman in tears, and then she said the freakiest thing is that she had 2 gentlemen, and they were sitting because they weren't together, but the energy, the spirit, the beat, whatever came in for both of them. Like it showed up, it kind of stood between the 2 of them, and it was there for both of them. It had messages for both of them.
Oh, really? Fascinating.
She goes, that was just bizarre. Because I've never seen anything like that. That 2 separate individuals have the same whatever, the guide, energy, angel, spirit, whatever, come in and have messages for both of them. So I think that was kind of interesting. And then drove back Sunday night, got back late, got back about midnight last night, and then had to be up early today to get the dog from the kennel, and had doctor's appointments today, and so that was interesting. I thought Josh was interested in the Bigfoot thing. I thought the Bigfoot thing was interesting. I figured it would have been a little bit higher percentage than that, which I think it is. I think both are low on it.
Yeah, that's very low. Yeah, low number.
Like I said, I know the number that's been around since we started doing this, and that was 8-9 years ago. Was always 75% believed in ghosts and the afterlife and things like that. So I just found it funny that in all this time, he hasn't stumbled across that one moment, that one piece of evidence that makes you say, yeah, okay, I'm believing in this now.
Right.
Usually there's something. It's either an EVP or a personal experience that even though you may not be able to produce documentation on it, it's the thing that turns around. I mean, I've had a couple of those experiences. Obviously, Lonnie is like medium, so she has them all the time. But I know the one where we're going through evidence, and there is a voice as clear as day answer a 2-year-old that said hi to it, and it responded, hi. And that's just how it sounded. It sounded like some kind of creepy cross between the Cookie Monster and something else, and it was clear as day. I was in the next room and heard this EVP. Usually you've got the headphones on and you're trying to drown out all the ambient sound around it. And then we were at a house a couple years ago, and Alani and I walked in, and the minute we walked in the door, we both heard an older woman greet us and say hello.
Wow.
And we're like, oh, your mother's, because the woman was talking about her mother had been to visit. And I wasn't really listening that close to it, and I thought she meant that her mother was, I said, oh, your mom's still here? She goes, no, it's just me here right now. And Alana just looked at each other. And I'm like, really? I said, do you have an Alexis or an Echo? She goes, yeah, but it's turned off. We don't use it. I'm like, okay. And then, again, I don't proclaim to have any of the abilities that Lonnie has, but when I can actually hear a disembodied voice, with no tape recorder, or just you walk in and you hear someone that's not there say hello to you. And it wasn't like it was soft. It wasn't like they were yelling, but it was like a normal talking voice. It sounded like the one was in the next room. It sounded like she was sitting in the living room off to the left when you walked in. Like, okay. But anyway, so that was our weekend. I know you usually go out ATV and stuff, but did you see what I sent you about the Godzilla
No.
stepping on Bambi?
Yes, I did see that.
Godzilla meets Bambi?
Yes, I did see that.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that's the little clip I remember. And I was in the movie theater right before the actual movie started.
Right.
So, yeah. We will talk about Godzilla tonight. It's on the list.
Okay.
You know.
So I'm done. I'm here for you tonight.
All right, I'm going to start. So we all know, we had talked about in the last show, I once had a dream about shit figurines.
Shit figurines, yes.
Have you got the website yet?
No, but I will.
Okay, you should really do it after the show.
Okay.
So on Saturday, I spent most of the day building the prototype, the very first shit figurine. And, you know, I always wanted to do sports figures. You know, I had Muhammad Ali in mind first, or Mike Tyson, you know, or Dan Marino from the Dolphins. You know, something like that. I was, you know,
You should get a white guy in there.
yeah, you know, no, yeah, oh, that's
Not the way
yeah,
thought this was going down a real bad road, but okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I was going to do all football teams. Like you buy one for $49.99, and the next month pay another $49.99.
Yeah, I like the Bradford Exchange.
Yeah.
Franklin.
Yeah. So I found out working with shit is not that easy. So actually, what I had to do is I had to mix it in with mud, all right, and to kind of make it a little more, hold together. And I use super glue too, the good stuff, to hold it all together.
Okay.
So I'm about to unveil our prototype.
Oh boy.
And I had to pick.
I don't know if I'm ready for this.
I had to pick something that would be remembered. And this is going to go up on eBay. I'm going to put it up on eBay for sale.
Please don't tell me it's Obama.
And that's a good guess.
Okay.
Well, let me give you my favorite version. And I have another one I'm getting ready to build, and I'm going to name what it is. But this is my favorite version so far. This is a prototype of our Congresswoman, Donna Lopardo. And this is her I'm going to take your husband away outfit. It's she's a Greek chick. As you see, her shirt says Greek on it. I had to put the R in there.
Okay.
It said geek, but that's
okay.
Greek. But so this is Donna Lopardo. All right, and this is my first shit figurine. So she is now famous. I'm building another prototype of Donna, and this one is the abortion clinic version. She has a white outfit stained with pig's blood. Yeah, and it comes with a little baby, stabbed through the heart. And then I'm also working on another version, and she's got a little stormtrooper outfit on, and she's holding up a decapitated Jewish man's head and decapitated Christian man's head in one hand, and that is the stormtrooper outfit. But this one is Donna Lopardo. I'll steal your husband.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. So this will be up on eBay soon. And I made sure she had her glasses, and I even painted her hair to match to make sure her hair was the correct color.
Nice.
Yeah. So what do you think? It doesn't even smell. Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing. So is this completely sculpted of poo?
No.
Or is this just around an actual figurine?
This is a figurine, and then what I did is
you added to it.
I added to it.
Okay.
I added the shit in mud to the figurine.
Okay.
And super glued everything I needed to super glue. And here we go. Yeah.
Nice.
She's got a roll of hooker boots on. See, look at that. Is that nice? Yes. And she's got her red, I'm going to steal your husband pants.
Nice.
Yeah. And Greek chick. She's
Nice.
into Greek. So, all right. Good
Nice.
for you.
There
we go. Does Sarah see that? Yeah. Donna Lopardo. Famous. Yay.
Yay.
And again, if there's anyone named with that name, it may be a congresswoman. It's just pure coincidence.
Assembly person.
So, yes. So there we go. It'll be up on eBay soon. I'm not sure when I asked for the price yet, but
Yeah. Okay.
but we'll get there.
Me, you're supposed to stick with the first name.
So you didn't. I expected more. I thought you would tell me it was a great shot. That took time. That took hours. Hours.
That's why I'm impressed.
I almost, I was really mad at myself that I didn't record the whole process. And then I could speed it up. You know how they do, and I was really mad at myself. I didn't do
Well, the
that.
next one.
Yeah. So anyway, but that's the prototype. So.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Neighbors wondering what the hell I was doing in the backyard.
I'm sure they did.
Getting bags of dog shit, you know, so.
Oh my God.
They probably think Jeff's really lost it.
No.
They lost it.
No, you got a way to go yet, but
Yeah.
okay. Nice. So.
Yeah. That was what I did this weekend.
So ship figurine.
Yep, and again, that's the prototype. We also had the abortion clinic version coming out soon.
Nice.
And then of course we have the Stormtrooper outfit, and as another version. So
Okay.
it will be a progressive Christmas toy. Oh my gosh, that's what you mean. If you're a progressive, you want this as a Christmas present.
You do.
You do. Definitely want it. Okay. Moving on. Look at those Vikings
There
go.
might actually be grant money available.
For ship figurines?
Well, because they fund other artsy kind of projects.
That's right. I'm an
So
artist.
you may want to look into that.
I should
There
look
might be
into that.
grant money available too
I can start at the dog
to
ship.
perpetuate your artistic, whatever it is, whichever one it is.
Well, and
Still.
this is a great thing because my idea was to, if it takes off, like I'm going to need a small factory. And what I want to do is I want to give back to community. So what I'm going to make sure I do, because I know, illegal immigration is a hot topic for progressives. They're very for it. So I want to support Donna and her beliefs, and I'm going to hire a bunch of illegal Mexicans to work in my factory and build these dolls. And I'm going to pay them normal American wages. That's how far I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Cause that's the good guy that I
You
am.
could always outsource to Mexico and try to tempt them to stay there.
We could do that too.
So you'd be kind of doing, you'd be killing two birds with one stone. You'd be keeping the illegals in Mexico.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be able to say built in America.
But
I want
but
built in the USA on the box.
well, if you
Manufacturing.
how's that work? I guess it would be because you could send them dog shit from the United States. So
The materials came from you.
assembled with U.S. materials. We'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
We'll have to look into that. Maybe Donald will give us some money to keep the factory in the United States.
Exactly. All right. So anyway, I don't know if you've been watching football at all, but the Vikings again, another great win.
I heard it was a crush. I think
Yeah.
Cousins.
No, that was last week. And
Was it?
This was this week, and we played the Lions, and it was a close game, but in the end we crushed them. Yeah. But Kirk Cousins set an NFL record. He's the first quarterback in NFL history to complete 3 or more passes in 4 consecutive games. So congratulations,
Wow.
Kirk Cousins. He set a NFL record. What did you think of the attack by Hillary Clinton on Tulsi?
I haven't heard the whole thing. I heard it happened, but I think Hillary's lost it.
No, they're afraid of this chick.
Take two.
I know, they really are.
Oh, Tulsi?
I mean,
Oh, yeah, they're definitely
because
afraid. No, I get that.
If I couldn't vote for Trump, that's who I'd vote for, Tulsi. I mean, that's how impressed I am with that young woman. She's incredibly intelligent. She knows her shit forward and backward. I don't agree with her on a lot of economic stuff, but in the social issues, I'm kind of on board with her. Getting out of the Middle East, yep, totally on board with her. Shouldn't be the police force of the world, totally on board with her. Love the woman.
Nothing that's funny.
And she's hot.
She was hot. See, that's funny thing too. Which I didn't, like I said, I heard about Hillary. I didn't catch the whole slam fest, but two things. One, the police thing. For how many years have the Democrats and liberals been screaming, we can't be the policemen of the world? I mean, and now as soon as Trump pulls us out of Turkey and Syria, they're screaming about how we shouldn't be leaving the poor Kurds there. We've been there for 10 years. I'm not sure there's anything more we can teach them about protecting themselves than what we've done.
One of the things that got Obama elected in the beginning was he wanted to get out of the Middle
Yes.
East, and that's what the American people
Yes.
want. They're like, yes, this makes sense. Let's get the
Yes.
fuck out of there. You ever watch Jimmy Dorn? He's a comedian. He's a communist. I'm a communist. He's a comedian, but he's also a dry, hard communist.
Okay.
And he has a great show called The Jimmy Dorn Show. You should watch it sometime. It's hilarious. You find it on YouTube.
Okay.
If you won't agree with his policies, but it's fucking funny. The guy's funnier than shit. I love the guy. I don't agree with him, but he truly believes what he says, and I'm okay with that with people. You know, he hates Elizabeth Warren because he knows she's full of shit. She's not, she's not a communist or social. She's not a progressive. She's a make-believe.
Right.
You know, he's a Bernie supporter because he's like the guy who's never changed his message. Got to give Bernie credit. He hasn't. He's been on the same. You look at videotapes of a guy from 40 fucking years ago.
True.
He was saying the same shit back then. You know,
Yeah,
he was saying
yeah.
it then. You can't take that away from the guy. He's genuine. I don't agree at all on the economic policies whatsoever, but he's genuine. Yeah, so there's a big fight right now within the Democratic Party. I mean, it's a knuckles, drag, bar ball, bashing.
Yeah.
You know, it's a fight. These people are fighting. You know, and it's the old school versus the new school. You got that progressive element, that far left wingers fighting the centrist. You know, and it's just this bad mixture of blood going on.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the reason Hillary Clinton came after Tulsi is in 2016, when Bernie was getting the shaft by CNN and Hillary, they were working together. We know that's a fact. That's not make-believe. That's not fake news. That's real news. We know it for a fact. We know. We saw the emails. We saw the official documentation
They
from
admitted
CNN. Yeah.
Yes, he admitted it.
Yeah, they know. Okay, so we know that happened. So Tulsi, she was right. She was the second in charge of the Democratic Committee for all this going on, and she saw it happening, and she resigned in protest because she could see what CNN, what the Democratic Party was doing, and were working with Hillary Clinton directly, and she saw Bernie getting the shaft, and she resigned her position, and everyone said, "Oh, if you endorse Bernie, you're going to ruin your career. They're never going to forgive you." And what she do? She went out and endorsed Bernie. Tulsi did, and this is payback now. So now Hillary Clinton. Her lapdogs at CNN and the Democratic Party are coming after Tulsi.
Is she one of the ones they call the Russian agent?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I have heard bits and pieces.
Yeah.
So they called her and Jill
Stein.
The
Green Party candidate.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's the tree hunter. Yeah. She's
a Russian.
Yeah. She's a Russian asset.
A Russian asset.
Yeah.
Is that going to be the new? Is that going to be the new theme? Is that going to be the new thing?
If you disagree,
that if you can't win against your opponent, you just label them whatever current enemy of the United States they are and make them an asset.
Isn't this McCarthyism all over again?
Oh my God!
History repeats itself, and we're seeing it again. It's character assassination. Facts don't matter anymore. It's character assassination, which I predicted. I predicted this is the route they would go. They're eating their own alive.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Russian assets. That's no, too funny. Yeah, so yeah, but Hillary, she's off her wagon because listen to some clips, and she was just going off about how, she was cheated out of the election, and she's like, we knew it was going to be a close election, and this, that. No, you didn't. You had polls saying you were 21% up.
Yeah.
You were so concerned that you wanted Trump to pledge in the debate that he would abide by whatever rules, or whatever ruling came down with the people's vote. And then who is it that's not doing that? Hillary Clinton. And everyone else. It's been on this impeachment and Russia and Stormy Daniels and for his entire presidency. Like I said, I get it. He may not have been the best candidate, but he's the only one that stepped up. And I'm telling you, I can't even imagine any other candidate in recent history that could withstand this last almost 3 years of bombardment of your legitimacy.
The last time this president was despised by the other party and by some of its own party was actually Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, yeah.
That was the last time. I mean, like, people don't realize, there were two Democratic guys each time running against Lincoln. That's how Lincoln won. He only got 29% of the vote.
Right.
But that's all he needed because The dummies and the Democrats split the vote.
Split the vote.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, absolute hate. Absolute hate.
And then what was I seeing? In amongst this latest round of distractions, something like 8 or 9 federal judge benches were filled, and a bunch of other crap got filled, and all under the radar, all while everyone else was bitching about this, that, and the other thing. Trump went on and
did his thing.
Did his job. Yep. Filled 8 or 9 bench seats in the federal court, and people are idiots. And they're making their own distraction. It's not like, well, actually, I think
it's Trump in the headlines every day. You have no idea what these other candidates running for president stand for at this point. Trump.
I'm pretty sure Trump was the original whistleblower on this whole thing.
He probably was.
Whatever.
So, yeah, so it's interesting times. The Democrats are eating their own, and as I predicted, there would be no impeachment vote. I did predict that. They pulled it off. There's not going to be a vote. They're going to keep doing their secret meetings behind closed doors, but there'll be no vote till at least February. And then it's going to fail more. It may pass the House, but when it gets to the Senate, it's dead upon arrival. And that's that. And it's all going to backfire. It's already starting to backfire.
Oh, yeah.
People do not care about this. They care about the economy. They care about health care. They care about their education for their children. This is the shit people care about. They don't care about this make-believe horse shit. And the dummies of the Democrats don't get it. It's like, duh. You have a majority in the House. Use it, you dumbasses, for something, But they know, and I think it really boils down to saying, no, nobody can beat him. There's not a single one of them that can beat him, and they know that. So the only shot in the dark they have to get rid of the guy is to impeach him, and it's not going to happen. It's going to backfire and make the beating they're going to get even worse. That's what Godzilla. We talked about Godzilla. Is Godzilla real? That's the question of the day.
Is he real?
Yeah. Where did the legend of Godzilla start? I actually know the answer to this already.
So Japan. Well, it depends on what movie version you watch.
Well, I kind of
go with the original.
Okay. Well, the 1954 classic, which was a black and white. Yeah. Here's an interesting fact about the first appearance of Godzilla. Buildings were only so high back in the day, right? So the original Godzilla was 164 feet by scale, right? So if Godzilla walked down the street, the 1954 version would have been 164 feet tall.
Right.
Okay. Now we get to the latest one that you went to see, Battle of the Monsters or Monster Quest or whatever the fuck it was. He is now 398 feet tall.
Big.
But you see over the years in the movies, he progressively gets bigger and wider because the buildings get taller. Right. And they're like, oh, we remember Bigfoot? Yeah, Bigfoot. Godzilla get bigger. Bigfoot get bigger. Godzilla. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting little thing, how he's.
Yeah, well, he would have to.
So Godzilla, the name, is kind of like, there's a fictional creature in Japanese culture. It's like a demon, and it's called, I'm going to way mispronounce this, I do apologize. I'm going to say Keija, or Keiju. Keiju sounds more correct. And that's like the word for demon in Japanese. The name is a cross between, now Godzilla itself is a cross between the Japanese word for gorilla and one for a whale. Believe it or not, Godzilla. So the God part is obviously a reference to, where the hell is he? Shinto. Shinto was the god of destruction for the Japanese people. And Shinto has no morality. He comes in, he destroys everything so there can be a rebirth on Earth. So that's where the god part comes into the Godzilla. Is actually after Shinto, one of the gods of total destruction and no morality for the Japanese people. Here's the interesting thing I didn't know about Godzilla. It always looked green to me on TV. The skin, right? But apparently it was not green, but the color was actually a charcoal gray. Mm-hmm. And this didn't come out that way on TV for whatever, the color vision they used to turn.
Yeah, because it's new.
Yeah, but it came out green, but it was actually a charcoal gray. And the skin of the beast was derived between different dinosaurs, what they thought, and actually skin scars from survivors of Hiroshima. So the skin you see on the Godzilla was actually a mixture of what they thought a reptile skin would be on a dinosaur, all right? And the survivor, they would take photographs of the skin.
Oh, so they weren't using real skin.
No, they were just taking photos, but they mimicked it, around that. It's not like, Himmler with, a lamp made out of Jewish skin, shit.
All that time frame.
Yeah, but anyway, the original actor who played Godzilla in the early films was actually a black belt in judo. So when you see him do all these rolls and shit and flips, there's a reason behind it. He was a black belt.
It's not easy to do with a Godzilla.
No, and like that suit itself was a bitch. There was guys that passed out in it. They got sick. It was hot as hell. There was no vents. There was a pee bag. I mean, it sucked. Pee bag. And a shit bag too, apparently. It really sucked to be in that suit. Steven Spielberg cited Godzilla as an inspiration for his Jurassic Park films. Did you know that? He actually said...
No, but that's kind of...
No, he did.
I'm not doubting it.
And he also said it had a big role in how he came up with Jaws. This creature and it's deep and the fear and the big jaw. And he got the idea from the Godzilla movies. I thought that was pretty far out.
Yeah, Spielberg did some drugs.
Well, maybe I say that. Yeah. Godzilla. Oh, it's really good.
No, Godzilla.
But no, there is no such creature as Godzilla.
Shark.
Yeah. There's no such creature as Godzilla. It's all make believe. It's fictional. No, I did the research. It really is fictional. I find out, it came out like a guy started putting in his head in 1950 and came up with a name and started to make arrangements to make a movie out of it. It wasn't around. No. Didn't have
all those atomic bombs.
the Emperor. No, the Emperor didn't have Godzilla chained in the bottom of the fucking palace or some shit angle, right?
The Kraken. Got these other beasts from ancient legends.
No.
Never know. So what? King Kong wasn't real either?
No, apparently not. Yeah, unless it's Sasquatch.
Hell yeah. So the original movie was a byproduct of the nuclear tests and this, that, and everything else. And
there's always to be, Japan has a no nuclear policy since they became a nation after World War II. I don't know if you know that or not. Other than nuclear factories, but they won't have atomic weapons.
Which melt down and pollute almost every square inch of the
but we will not have nuclear missiles
of the fucking Pacific, even today. But anyways, yeah.
But they won't have nuclear weapons because of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and Godzilla is actually a reflection of that, of what bad things can happen when you F around with nature and atomic energy. But I'll give.
When nature points out the folly of men.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Blue oyster cult, baby, Godzilla.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so, interesting.
Google it.
Very interesting.
So but then the newest movie, the newest incarnation, was trying to tie them all in together, like King Kong and Godzilla and Mothra, and it was that these creatures actually were the first rulers of the planet, one of the first rulers of the planet, and it was just through whatever they went by the wayside or went underground, whatever it was, and then all of a sudden, King Kong's whole family species was on Skull Island, which was an island that you couldn't find unless you had a special map, and it was lost, and it's always got a storm around it, so whatever. But just
sounds like the special training to take in what was that kid's movie?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, thank you.
Yeah, run into the wall. Yeah.
What's the name of that fucking town there in the castle? Where the fuck did he go?
Hogwarts.
That's the thing. Hogwarts.
Yeah. So But yeah, Godzilla. I don't think there's a more racist movie character in the world than Godzilla.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know, like Alani, who's probably the overall least racist person I know, cannot say the word Godzilla unless she does it in a Japanese accent. Yeah. I love it. I mean, so, you know, whatever. And why he's like the protector of Japan, but yet trampled the shit out of the city every chance he got.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is like he had this mentality where if there was a common foe, he took up with the Japanese people and kicked the shit out of it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, he could turn on the Japanese people in a heartbeat, teach them a lesson, you know, for their immortality, or
Morality.
their morality. Thank you. Again, because he is incarnation, the god Shinto. You know, where there is no morality in Shinto. He's there to kick ass, destroy everything, so a rebirth of nature can happen. So, one of my favorite Godzilla movies, since you asked, was Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster, which is still somewhere on DVD. Oh yeah, this big nasty creature was made out of like smog and just garbage and trash. And it was awesome, great. You know,
Because that doesn't make a comeback.
yeah, it was a great movie. Especially today. I mean, really fit today's, you know, environmentalistic look at this movie. Great movie. Smog Monster.
Gretazzilla. Where's the Smog Monster? Yeah. So, yeah. So Godzilla, good movie, but yeah, that's not real. Not like Bigfoot. That's real.
Oh yeah, we have
That's
Sasquatch
big
stories. We do have Sasquatch stories.
Oh, do we?
I thought we would do some stories about local Sasquatch sightings. You know.
Okay.
And I had to do some serious research to find some that are very, very, very old. I know the first time I came and met your people, and I did a presentation, I had information that dated back to the 1700s, and God help me, I can't find that today. It really pissed me off. So, anyway, I found some other ones I wasn't aware of.
Okay.
So, here we go. Story number 1. In the summer of 1869. Okay. Jump into this.
Sasquatch was a friend of mine. Oh boy. Here we go.
So, anyway, in the summer of 1869, a wild man was seen by over 100 residents in the vicinity of Woodhood and Troopsville in Steuben County. Yeah, it made a shrieking sound as it raced through the woods and countryside. It had long, matted hair and glaring, bloodshot eyeballs. Apparently, it drank a lot.
Yeah.
People would see it in those farms, either chasing their cattle, humping their horses, or some shit. So that wasn't that far from here. I looked it up on a map. It's past Elmira. It's west of Elmira.
Yeah, Steuben County.
Yeah. So
It's corny.
yeah, but it's right like where it was.
Oh,
It's actually past
oh.
Corning. Where
Oh,
these
really?
towns are. They're right above where the Allegheny Forest is in
Okay.
Pennsylvania, which is a huge Sasquatch fucking
Oh,
area.
yeah.
You know, so it's right above that. That Bradford County area is a huge Sasquatch sighting area. So obviously there's a, you know,
Yeah.
connection with the local beast there. Story number 2, September 29th, 1883, Maine, New York.
That's
Frank?
not bad.
Yeah. Frank Hayes and John White were employees of the Sherwood Tannery. They were drawing bark from the Lewis Woods, which was about 1.5 miles west of the hamlet of Maine, near the New York Valley Road, which today is Route 26, by the way. Suddenly, there was a commotion in the bushes around them. John was sitting on top of a load and decided to throw a stone into the bushes to flush out the animal. The creatures sprang into view at lightning speed, all the while uttering demonical shrieks. Okay? The men were badly frightened. The beast was about 4.5 feet tall.
4.5 feet tall.
4.5 feet tall, covered in hair and extremely well built. So this may have been a midget, Bigfoot.
Goddamn Ewok.
I think it was probably a child, you know, a little minor Sasquatch. True story, apparently. It was in newspapers back then. A few weeks earlier, in August of 1883, a group of berry pickers became frightened by loud shrieks coming from the woods. The terrible shrieks were heard during the daytime and more intensely at night. Another resident, Jennings, also saw the creature and gave the same description as haze and light.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So we know, and that's not the only stories out in Maine. I found other ones where a guy was, you know, out with his dog. It was like 11:30 at night, and his dog, you know, started to bark, and the guy. If you've been out in Maine, it's not a big area. There's a lot of country, you know.
It's actually close by.
Yeah, so if you have a house out there, more likely you don't have any neighbors unless you're inside the town itself. If your neighbors, you do have neighbors, they're, you know, up the road a bit.
Right.
You know, there's space. You have a little bit of land. Anyway, so this guy's out with his dog. The dog starts foaming at the mouth, freaking out. The guy sees a big black shadow off, you know, at the edge of the property. The dog pisses itself, runs in the house, leaves the poor man out there by himself. Yeah, this happened about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So that guy was pretty frightened about. But, you know, that's one of the more recent stories. I know a gentleman who now lives in Florida who lived out between Maine and Glen Aubrey. All right, so he was right smack between the two on that main route there, and he had told me a story. It was a period of about a week where late at night you would hear these incredible screams, and it was all open fields where he was. It was bucket woods and open fields. These screams coming at the edge of the field on the far end, you know, where the wood line was, and you know, this blood curling scream every night. You know, you hear 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes at 11. By 6 in the morning it was done, and this would go on different times at night. You know, he went out with a shotgun a couple times and had a spotlight and couldn't see anything. True story though, you know, the guy was very, you know. He didn't say it was a Bigfoot, but he said whatever it was scared the shit out of him and his family.
Wow. You
know, so. Let's see here. Other reports. We have them in Harpersville and Cemetery Hill in Afton, which is in Shenango County. Now, I was trying to figure out where this Cemetery Hill was, and I found today it's located in the Melanie Hill State Forest, which I did not know it was a hotbed at one time for sightings. So I know where I'm going this Friday night, if you're interested. I'm going to take a trip out there. So, let's go around to the top back to the show. July 26, 1895, not 1995, 1895, in Margaritaville.
Margaritaville.
Which again is not that far from here. You know, it's east of here. Not the Jimmy Buffett song. Whatever that fucking song is.
Yeah, no, that's all I was thinking.
Did I say
I didn't realize Margaritaville was so close.
Yeah, it's east. Yeah, it's east of us. It's really not that far.
Is it in New York State?
Yeah.
Is it Margaritaville in New York State?
Yeah, dude, it's like east of us. It's like, all right, you've got Deposit. It's a little past Deposit.
That makes sense, huh?
Yeah, it's right out there. You know, but it's all around state forests, which makes sense. You know, it's a lot of very foresty area.
Straight shit out past Deposit.
So anyway, in July 26, 1895, in Margaritaville, Peter Thomas was driving a team of horses on a lone road when a wild-eyed man-like creature that had long, hairy arms and was shrieking grabbed one of the horses, twisted his neck, and dragged it into the darkness. So went up, and came out of the woods. The guy's at night, doing his horse shit, you know, whacking him. Creature comes out, squeaking, grabs the horse by the neck, snapped it, ripped it off the reins, and dragged it off in the woods. According to the witness, the creature was at least 7 feet tall and covered in hair. The next day, John Cook said another resident, said he shot a ferocious man-like being. It grabbed him and threw him to the ground. It was 7 feet tall and covered in hair and had teeth that came from the mouth that were like fangs.
And he shot it.
He shot it.
Didn't kill it.
Nope. It got pissed off and threw him to the ground like a rag doll. Didn't kill him though. Ran off after he'd been shot. These are just a few of the stories I ran across. You know, the news media was filled with this shit. You know, back in the day.
Back in the day.
You know, it could have been fake news. I don't see it wasn't around yet, but we're getting there. Okay, in the 1970s, in the town of Kinderhook, New York, which is outside of Albany, by the way.
Okay.
There were so many encounters with the creature in the town, it was dubbed the Kinderhook creature. Bruce Hollenbeck and Russell Zimberski, not the same doctor who did my eyes, in November 1980 were walking on a desolate road near Cushing's Hill. And I can't find out where Cushing Hill is. I looked. It didn't come up on the map. So
Yeah, it must be a local thing.
Yeah. When they were startled by noises coming from both sides of the road, 5 huge hairy creatures with cone-shaped heads and no necks suddenly came onto the road. The man ran in the opposite direction as fast as they could. At the same time, a woman just down the road saw a huge hairy creature that walked on 2 legs, removed food from the trash cans next to her garage. The creature scared her dog so bad it ran in circles and wet itself. Yeah. That's some serious shit.
Yeah.
You know? On a chilly moonlight morning in August 1998, 2 men were driving on North Bush Road near Caruga Lake in Fulton County at about 2 a.m. Now this particular light is up on the map. This is maybe 60 miles from. Yep. Can't think of the name of the town right now. Starts with Halstead or not Halstead.
Folliesville?
No. No, it's the big Bigfoot thing in New York State. The one where the sheriff saw it on their shit.
Whitehall?
Yeah, thank you, Whitehall. Oh, I got the Halstead. Yeah, so it's about 60 miles from Whitehall. But it's in the area where me and Heather went up. We're on the other side of the way from Whitehall, and we did our research up there. So this thing is, we were actually closer to than Whitehall, so I would say 40 miles from where we were. Anyway, so they were on the. It was about 2 a.m. They pulled their truck to the roadside to urinate. Chris returned to the vehicle before his companion, and when he flipped on the high beams, he saw a huge figure standing only 20 feet away. It was 7 to 8 feet tall, part human, part animal. It had a flat face and arms that swung in an exaggerated gait or motion. Chris said it was covered in long brown hair. It stood perfectly still for a minute and then grunted at us. Then it turned and walked away. It didn't move like a man. It kind of swaggered back and forth like it lunged each leg forward when it walked. That was kind of an interesting big
yeah.
So, oh, is it shut down?
Oh, that's damn close enough.
I think it is. Here's
5 o'clock somewhere.
That's right. Here's Swimming with
Chicken Margaritaville.
and Asian Twins.
Oh.
Which one was that? Oh, that's
Honey
good.
Jack.
Tennessee Honey. I like that.
Yeah.
So that was Tennessee Honey, everyone. That was by Jack Daniels. Very good stuff.
Jack Daniels.
Yeah. Very good stuff.
Not bad.
Very good. You know, and I got thinking about all the Bigfoot stuff. I haven't told my story in a long time.
Is this the one where you're out with Heather and the kids and
Yeah.
screams?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I figured we'd do a refresher.
Yeah,
There is a YouTube video done by Danny. What's his name? You know.
Oh, Denny?
Denny. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Right, yeah, Denny. He actually interviewed me once. We were out doing a Bigfoot thing.
Oh, yeah?
It's on YouTube. And actually, I was able to speak without slurring any of my words once, and it was really a great video.
Wow.
You know, I slur. I can't help it. I have a speech impediment.
I'll have to
It
look.
just happens. You know.
I'll have to look and
I'm not drunk, though. It's just
put it up on the page.
yeah. But anyway, so this is what happened. So I knew I wasn't getting any later, and I always wanted to do research into Bigfoot. I always wanted to go out and be that guy. When I was a little kid, I used to get all the books I could find from our school library about Sasquatch. And back in the day, there was a ton of them.
Oh, yeah.
You know, really, I mean, look, you know, Dewey Decimal System and shit. It was filled with Bigfoot shit.
Bigfoot was a big thing back in the day.
Yeah. So I would bring these books home, and I was still learning how to read, and they were hard to read for a kid. It was 6, 7 years old. So my father would help me read them, and that was my greatest joy. My father did not believe in this at all. He was an extremely intelligent man. He was one of those big wigs at IBM, but he grew up very salt of the earth, and this is the kind of guy. His first gun, he was 8 years old and he gets his first gun. As a present. I mean, it was a different culture. It was a different time, and he would spend his entire after school or before school in the summer. Entire day would be in the woods with his friends, and they'd be hunting. They would eat rattlesnakes and shit like that and shooting stuff. This is what they did, and he never saw anything in the woods that he couldn't identify. He never saw anything in the sky he couldn't identify. So he was very grounded in comparison to me, and that's why he didn't believe in Bigfoot, because he never saw any evidence whatsoever. He hunted everything, bear, you name it, he hunted it, never saw any evidence. So we would have these little arguments, child versus man. Child knew nothing, man knew everything,
right.
And that it is what it is.
It is what it is.
What was I going with this story? I don't know about my father. But anyway, so he would read to me. And,
you books, you did a lot of research.
And he found them interesting, but he just couldn't, without seeing it himself, he just couldn't bring himself to say, it's real.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the kind of guy. I mean, I remember, this is a true story. We're going out to my Uncle Bill's, and Uncle Bill lived in a swamp, like around a swamp, right, in the middle of PA somewhere. Fuck, I couldn't find a day if I wanted. Bill's been dead for years, but you want to talk about a place to go look for Bigfoot. This was it. I'm serious. And I guess there were sightings, and I don't know any of the details because everyone's dead, but there was sightings. And if you saw where Uncle Bill lived, in the house, in the dirt road, you would totally like, holy shit, this is the place we want. This is camp right here. This is the base. Sucks he's dead. So anyway, I remember we were driving to Uncle Bill's in his dirt road next to a swamp. And we had this big full-size Bronco. So it was like 1979, 1980. My father bought it brand new. And my father slams on the brake. And my older brothers, I was sitting in the back seat. One was up front, the oldest one, and the other Mark was back with me. He goes, boys, stay here. Watch out the window. You're going to see something you've never seen before. So I'm like, so my face plastered out the window. And my other brothers, they're bigger than me, trying to push me out of the way so he could look out. And my father, there's this big tree, and he's going around this tree, and and bam, he grabs something. He catches this, I don't know, muskrat, what the fuck, I don't know what it is today. My brothers remember, or my brother who's still alive remember. He grabbed it with his bare hands, and he took it off the tree. And he's like, look at this, yeah, you're going to see this. He brought it up close to us, and muskrat. I don't know what the fuck it was. I couldn't tell you. But he was so fast, and he knew how the creature, a normal human being couldn't do what my father did without training. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He was that. Right. He could track animals.
He knew, right. He knew how
to do shit like that, and I thought it was just the coolest thing ever. And I never got any of those skills whatsoever. So anyway, that was just really cool. So anyway, getting back to my Bigfoot story. So I said one day I was going to really do research in the field, and I said, I'm not getting any younger. I was probably 40 years old at this point, many years ago. And Heather was like, why don't you take the boys camping?
Right.
And I'm like, hey, this would be great. We could do a Bigfoot hunt with the kids, get them excited about camping and da-da-da. So there's an area which I may have took you into. I know I took Steve and Will into it. But it's a wildlife management area.
Yeah.
It's off limits. You have to have a special limit to camp there.
I think you showed it to me.
Yeah. So we were camped on the mountain next to it, me and you. Mm-hmm. Okay, we were one mountain over. But I filled out all the paperwork and I got permission to get in there. No, wait, I didn't. This time I didn't. All right, wait a minute, back up. No, that was the second time I went. So no permission. So we go in, and to get where we got, right? Steve and Will would know. I mean, this is treacherous roads to get where we had to go, right? You need four-wheel drive, especially in the rainy season. It's May, It's early May, actually. We were in early May. And the roads there's no road. It's a stream. We were going to the stream with four-wheel drive to get there. We're rock solid in the middle of nowhere. There's no one for miles. Anything happens, you're effed. No one's gonna help you. So I have a shotgun and all this other shit because I know there's bears out there. I know that for a fact. I found the prints going there before. So we set up camp, inside this, what was left of a house or something, the base, the farmer's field at one time or some shit back in the day, 1800s, 1700s. So we set up camp there, and there's a sign where I parked my truck up on a tree, and it says, "No camping without a permit." So I'm like, what are the odds?
What are the odds?
Yeah, I'm going to take that sign down. So I got up on top of the truck, I ripped the sign down through the week, right? No, I ain't joking, I really did this thing. So, we're out gathering in the woods. I take the kids with me. Heather's back at the camp. I've got the shotgun, and the dog sees a hurt. So me and the kids are getting wood. We're coming back, and we're walking up this fucking stream of a road. And actually, it's a nice day now. This is the second day we're in it, and it's nice. And here comes, wouldn't you know it? Fucking Forest Ranger.
Ranger Rick.
Ranger Rick. 4-wheel drive vehicle. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. What are the odds, right? What are the odds? And they come by, and obviously try to talk to Heather. That never worked. So.
Well, it was fun to watch for an hour or two.
Yeah. So they come down and like, you got the camp up there? I go, yep. And you got a permit to camp here? No, I didn't realize you needed one. All right, well, we'll meet you back at the camp. My God, fuck, I'm gonna get a ticket, right? So we get back to the camp, and there's 3 of them. 3 rangers get out of the truck.
Oh yeah, this is big news.
Yeah,
this is a big crime.
Yeah. So 3 of them, and they're all very nice people. I mean, they're professional, very nice. And the one guy's looking at the tree, and he goes, "I could swear I put a sign there." He goes, "Was there a sign there?" And I'm like, "No." And I'm looking at Keegan. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, maybe you used it as a frisbee.
Yeah. I'm like, "No, I didn't see a sign. There was no sign when I got there." So I goes, all right. So you didn't know you needed a permit? I go, "No, I had no idea." You know. In fact, I really didn't know until I got there and I saw the sign, to be honest. And I wasn't going to turn around at that point. We planned this for the weekend. We're camping. Fuck it. So, like, all right. So they took down my license information, my license plate, and like, no ticket. We're going to just give you a warning. How many days you stay in? We went through all that. They're really nice people, and they're like, "What's this shotgun for?" And I go, "Well, I know there's bear here, and I ain't getting eaten." The ranger goes, "Okay, totally get it." You know what I'm saying? Like, he knew I wasn't, poaching or any of that shit like that. And then I go, "Can I ask you guys a question?" And they go, "Yeah." And I go, "I gotta tell you, I take the kids up here at a camp that we're also gonna do a little, I know it'll sound a little weird, I go, a little Bigfoot. I heard there's a lot of stories up here." And the one guy goes, he looked at me, and they didn't laugh. And I thought that was really fascinating. I expected to get a chuckle, like, "Oh, Bigfoot." You know what I'm saying? From the Forest Rangers. This is that whole area is theirs.
Yeah.
And he's looking and he goes, "Yep, we've heard reports." And he shut up. He didn't laugh. They didn't look at each other with that funny look, you would expect. Nothing. So they know. They know.
Oh, yeah.
I knew it right then. I'm like, holy shit. I mean, that was like a cool thing to kind of see that interplay. When people are like, "Yep," and just let it go. They can't, because of the jobs, they can't. The official, I don't know if you know this, but the official New York State thing on Bigfoot, a policy or statement is, from the head guy for the Forest Rangers, by the way, is there's no such thing. So
right.
These people can't say shit.
Right.
They one hairy bastard, sit on the top of their truck. They're going to say nothing. They're not going to lose their jobs. They got pensions coming.
Right.
So
right.
Really cool guys and female. They're all packing guns too. These people don't fuck around. So they let us stay. They went away. So that night, me and Heather built a fire. The kids go to bed about 8. So it's me, Heather, and one dog, Moonshine, which and she was a puppy at the time. She's not that big. She's not fully grown, maybe 2 years old. And we're sitting around a fire, right? And the dog starts foaming at the mouth. I'm like, what the fuck's her problem, right? And Heather is sitting on the other side of the fire. So the dog is running between the 2 of us. And I start hearing this, whoop! And I'm like, it's an owl, right? And I hear one far away, whoop! And then another one over here, whoop! And then like they're answering each other. And I've never heard an owl like that before. Not this particular, not this hooting. It's not the normal owl sound. I'm like, well, that's really effed up, because there's like 10 of these things going off right now. And I've never heard this before. And so that was interesting. And there could be an owl species there I'm unaware of.
Yes, true.
Possible. But it was like a hoot. It's hardly. It just wasn't any animal I could identify right off. So Heather gets freaked out by the dog so much. She comes over and puts her chair on the side, because I have the gun anyway, and next to me, and she goes, you know, I ain't dying. I ain't getting dragged by my hair through the woods, and you're too slow to take a shot. So I get her point, you know.
Yeah.
So the hooting stuff went on for maybe 30 minutes and stopped, maybe 40 minutes. It's been a long time. And it stopped, and there was nothing else the rest of the night. The dog was still very anxious, though, very like freaked out. They kept staring at like the same area, in the woods. And finally, it's about 11:30 at night, and I said, let's just go to bed. And we hadn't been drinking or nothing. I don't ever do that really when I do a real investigation. I try not to drink because I like to stay awake. But I was dead tired.
Right.
So we go to bed, and it's a normal night until about, I'd say, 2:30 in the morning. I hear the scream of all effing screams, like this shriek, this howl, shriek, scream mixture, and it's ricocheting off the goddamn mountains, like it is so loud. And I'm like, I woke up out of my dead sleep. I'm like, what the fuck is that? It's like and then I hear the coyotes going off, right, answering this thing, and this thing was going down. It was just massive sound. And I am scared shitless. I mean, like, dude, I'm scared. And I'm not afraid to admit I'm scared out of my fucking mind. And I'm thinking, what the fuck can make that noise in the woods at night? I'm like freaking. And I've got a fully loaded shotgun next to me, and I'm literally shitting my pants. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to grab the kids. We're going to leave everything here. And I'm talking hundreds of dollars worth of equipment.
Yeah.
And I'm going to throw everybody in the truck, and I'm going to try to drive the fuck out of here like a madman. I mean, that was my first instinct, right?
Yeah.
And I started to think, I'm going to get my keys, and this is what I'm going to do. And then suddenly, like, the rational part of me kicked in, and I'm like, okay, trying to drive out of here in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night, is a real bad fucking idea. Especially with your adrenaline flowing, you're going to smash into a tree and kill everybody. Or go over an embankment or some shit, so the better part of me, took over.
Yeah.
But I took my shotgun. I went out to where the fire was. I started the fire back up to a blazing roar.
Nice.
And I sat in my chair with that shotgun, right this, and I waited. And I could still hear the thing going off. And it, and I don't remember how long it was. I'll have to look back at the video because it was closer to the date it actually happened. Mm-hmm. I don't think it went on longer than an hour.
Still, that's
yeah. But when they woke up in the morning, I finally fell asleep, but I didn't go back in the tent.
right.
It was about 6:37. Heather got up, and she found me sitting in the chair with the shotgun, and she asked what happened. I told her, and she was like, "Okay, we're going home today." And I fell asleep in the chair, and I had started smoking a cigar, so I was like, had a cigar hanging half in my mouth, and my shotgun across my fucking, and I had a shot of Jack Daniels. Waiting until the sunlight. When the sun came up, I finally did my shot. And I slept for a few hours. But we packed in that day, and that was it. We're going to fuck home. We camped there a few more times. Nothing ever happened. Hoping for a repeat, more calm experience with recorders and everything. Nothing happened. But that sound, I remember I went home after we got home, and I researched online. I wanted to find the sound I heard. What animal makes that sound? And I went through different videos and YouTube channels and sound clips and audio this and audio that, mountain lions, you name it. I went through it, nothing. So I went to the Oregon Bigfoot sites, like OregonBigfoot.com or some shit, and there was a link there, and it was recordings of supposed Sasquatches from over the years, some going back to the 70s. And I'm going down the clips, and I'm like, well, that's close. That one's really close. And then it was like, I was either the one, the last clip, or the second to the last, which is a recording on our show, by the way.
Right.
This sound on our show is exactly what I heard. It to a T, exactly what I heard is what you hear on the beginning of the show at the end of the show. That sound, that scream. And it doesn't seem like that much, but when you're there, and it's ricocheting through the mountains,
Oh, yeah.
and you cannot identify it, it scares the fuck out of you. Put yourself in the middle of nowhere, and hear that sound. And it's a primal fear. It's hard to explain to people, but I've seen it, I've heard it from other people who've heard the sound and seen the creature. The sheriffs. Remember the sheriff? You met him, at the hall, the White Hall.
Yep.
And he was talking about it. It's that primal fear, and that's what it is. It's this can't. It's almost paralyzing. You're so scared you almost get paralyzed. I hate saying it because I'm not a person who's scared easy, but I'll tell you what, I was scared out of my motherfucking wits. I'll never forget that day the rest of my life.
I bet. See, and that's those moments.
Yeah.
Those moments that you become a believer.
Yeah, that was that moment.
You know what I'm saying? You didn't see anything, but
right. the sound
yeah.
enough. And it was like at that moment in time, I wouldn't want to see what made that noise. I was so scared, I didn't want to see it.
No.
Nope.
No, I hear you. That's that moment. It's that moment, that believable moment.
And that scream, and I kept seeing you ricochet. You could feel it in your chest. I mean, you could actually feel. I can't explain it to people. It's so hard because the creature had to be at least a mile away. Regardless, it was still so fucking powerful. I mean, the size of this thing to make that kind of noise in that kind of a distance. And this thing had to be monstrous huge. Barrel chest, 8 feet tall, at least. In your mind, you're imagining this thing's got to be fucking gigantic.
Yeah.
Interesting story about this area. I was at. The reason I picked this area is because there was Sasquatch sightings in this area before.
Mm-hmm.
There was a woman who I got to meet at one time. She was actually in the film Bigfoot Still Searching, or Bigfoot Hunter Still Searching, whatever the famous film I was talking about. And she had seen a juvenile up there, and actually she actually got a print, and she posted a print of it. One of the clearest prints I've ever seen in the Sasquatch, by the way. But she was hunting with her husband, or her boyfriend at the time, and they were down in a ravine. I know which ravine they were in. And she heard something, behind her. So she turned around with her gun, and there was a juvenile Sasquatch on the side of the ravine, and just looked at her. And she went to, tap. She turned away for a minute to tap her boyfriend, and she looked back, and the thing had already. You could see this bolt, and it was gone. By the time he turned around, it was already gone. There was nothing there. That was one of the stories. The second story was a gentleman there with his buddy, and they used to go backpacking in the area, camping, backpacking. And they were coming out. It was in the morning, early 7 o'clock a.m. or some shit. And he's coming through the woods. And I took Steve and Will to this particular sighting spot. And this creature, he didn't see the face, but he saw the backside of its head. And it was two of them. And they came under this branch. And the creature actually had to move the branch out of the way on a tree. And they moved, and they kept walking. And he's standing there. And his buddy wasn't up to where he was yet. So his buddy just saw the very end of the creature's going through the woods. But he saw, more of it. And he just remembers they dropped everything, all their camping equipment, all their shit they had, and they fucking took off the other way. They got the fuck out. He's a big Sasquatch right now. He goes and investigates there all the time. But they dropped everything, left all their shit, ran as fast as they fucking could back to where they parked and got the hell out of there. So, but they went back and they measured where the tree was. Where the creature had to bend under and move the tree out of the way, the branch out of the way, it was 8.5 feet off the ground.
Jesus.
So this thing had to be at least 9 feet tall, if not taller, 9.5, 10 feet maybe. Think about how big and massive. Do you imagine you're not a tall guy, but you're a big brawny guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see a creature that's 9 feet tall in the woods, that weighs what, 1,200 pounds?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, can you imagine what's going through your head when you see shit like that? I don't know about you, but I'd be pissed in my pants. I mean, they'd be pissed everywhere. The creature would turn around and goes, ha ha, that little fucker's pissing his pants.
Yeah, that's the best mechanism.
Oh shit!
Yeah, no, I get you. Because another night we were out in the woods, and it's like you knocking on a tree, trying to get a response and shit. And
you're like, hey, is this such a good idea?
I'm the fucking bait, because I ain't running. I ain't gonna be able to run.
Yeah, well, where could I go? The truck was stuck.
No, he's eating my ass. You got time to get away at least. You can at least hide under the truck. If he moves the truck, at least it won't be stuck. You can leave. Me, I'm bait. I'm opening fire with whatever I got available.
The night I poked my eye out with Steve and Will, we were in the same spot.
Yeah.
And something did happen there, and they were out cold. But I couldn't sleep. I had a hard time sleeping. And I kept doing shots, trying to get me to sleep. But my
Right.
heart was killing me.
Oh, yeah.
I had to go to the emergency room and all that shit. And, but I heard whistling. It was late. It was like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. But there was a whistle here and then a whistle over there. And there was whistling going back and forth. And I remember going, what animals can whistle? I mean, sitting there, I'm half drunk. I was half drunk at this point. But I was in a world of fucking pain, too. But I heard whistling. And I know it was a Stephen Will. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm thinking, what animals can whistle? There's none. There's humans. That's it.
Yeah.
As far as I know, that's all you can fucking
Birds.
not a whistle.
Like a whistle?
Whistle, like that kind of whistle. So that was on the other mountain, so it's in the same area.
Right.
You know, we're talking within 2 miles of each other. These incidents. So I found that quite fascinating. So I know there was, if I think what it was, there's more than one, obviously. And that kind of goes into the whole, the group structure of these things. I read report after report after report after report of single male Sasquatches being sighted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mostly are either early in the morning or evening hours, meaning dusk.
Dusk.
Okay. These, to me, because of the time of the day that most of these things happen, these are probably a nocturnal creature. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
They're stealthy. During the day, they probably sleep, I would imagine. I think there's a possibility they sleep in trees up top, not on the ground. As like a watching mechanism,
Right.
incredible hearing, like a dog, perhaps. And again, these are guesses. These are all guesses, folks. I don't know any. No one knows. No one's an expert in this field. Don't get me started on the expert shit, right? But there has been reports I've seen where a female's been seen. The Passion films.
I was talking about the Passion film being female.
Definitely female. But I don't want to give. I can't give names. There's a famous video on YouTube, and it's Sasquatch female with baby, and you see it come behind a rock. It's got the baby in its arms.
Okay.
I actually, and I didn't make this. I physically know, very well for many years, face to face, not like over email or phone, face to face, physical conversation, in an environment I can't talk about, took that fucking video. And I can't give names.
But you're vouching for its authenticity.
I can vouch 100% for its authenticity.
Yeah.
That is a real video. Go to YouTube, look up the Sasquatch with baby, see the video. That video is 100% real. I know the gentleman took it, and he never believed in Bigfoot. I'm gonna give some details. I don't think people are gonna research enough to figure out who it is anyway. This gentleman was at one time a world-renowned grizzly bear hunter and helped. At one time, held their. Okay, I'm gonna word this. I can be very careful how I choose because I don't want to give identities out. You give your word to people, you keep it.
Right.
He had a hand. Oh, here we go. Here, put it this way. He had a hand at one time in holding a world record for the largest grizzly bear ever shot. Bingo. There we go. He's got that out there. He had a hand in it. I'll leave it at that. So he knows what a bear is.
Right.
And his sighting that got him into this whole Sasquatch thing was him and his wife were doing something in relation to what I needed done somewhere. And they were coming back from that, and it was late at night. We stopped somewhere for food, or getting off the main highway, which is a country road highway. Mm-hmm. Coming off on the ramp, coming up the ramp, and he's going slow. It's been snowing, terrible weather, and he's got his high beams on, and all of a sudden there's this creature in the road, crossing the road, and he, stops the truck. He sees it full of his high beams. And the creature actually put up its hand from its face, to turn its face away from the light, and you can see the palm of the hand, and you can see that it had no hair on the palm, but the back of the hand was, and the rest of the body was covered there. You can see the ear even. The ear had some hair, but not totally covered in hair, he said. And he goes, Jeff, it was the biggest thing I ever saw. You could take Arnold Schwarzenegger and he would look tiny compared to this thing. Andre the Giant looked tiny compared to this thing. This thing had to be at least 9 feet tall. And the shoulders, he goes, just massively big. And he goes, when it started, it was an embankment. Like across the road, there was an embankment, and it just kind of went almost straight up. He goes, almost straight. A human being couldn't walk up this. And it started going up, you could see the muscles in the back rippling, the light as it was going up, because he turned his truck a little bit, better look at it. And his wife's sitting right there with him, too. And neither one of them ever believed in Bigfoot. Because he'd been out in the woods his whole life. He said it was all horse shit. People just seeing things.
Right.
And his jaw's hitting the ground, and he's looking at the creature, and he's going, are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? And she's like, and she couldn't speak. Because her mind can't compute.
Can process it.
Yeah, can't process what they're seeing. So anyway, that got him into research himself. He made connections. He lives in an area that's well known, documented for Bigfoots. And anyway, he got the video. So
let's look it up. Is that on YouTube?
Yeah, it's definitely on YouTube. Yeah, true video, real video. Just amazing shit. What was I going on? I don't know. Oh, family structure. So females and babies. That is reported quite often, more than you would actually realize. Hunter's sitting in a tree. True story right now. And this is in Virginia. He's sitting up there. He's in a normal spot. Been there for years. Everything crazy's ever happened. It's early in the morning. It's like 6 a.m. The sun's just coming up. He's setting his fire, drinking some fucking deer. Hear the deer come fucking flying through the woods, trampling. He's fucking, what the fuck? He's sitting there, what the fuck's going on? Next thing you know, here comes a gigantic creature bashing through the woods. Bam! It comes through the woods and stops like 100 feet away from him and sniffing the air. He's looking at this thing and he's like, what the fuck is that? He's up in this tree, and the thing at the head it's next. So it's like 8 feet tall. It's it's not that the guy didn't even reach up and grab him and walked over the tree. And then a female comes out, and it has a youngin with it. It's not a baby, but it's a youngin, like a small one that comes out. And so it's a good example of a family unit. And they both start sniffing a tree, and then at the same time, they all look up and they see him. And he's sitting there, and this poor guy, he's shitting his pants. He's so scared. He has a fully loaded rifle in his hand. He cannot bring that gun around to protect himself. He said this, if they would have grabbed me off that tree, they would have killed me instantly, because I was immobilized by fear, which I can understand that feeling.
I get that.
Yeah. So anyway, they took off. They left him alone. But that's just one of many stories, of a family unit. There was a story that I read not that long ago. This gentleman, this is probably back in the 1960s or 50s. No, this is the 40s, early 40s. It was after the war. I think it was after the war, so it was late 40s. So anyway, he's out in the woods. This is in the Michigan area, and something happens where he's hunting, and he slips on a rock, and he falls down and smashes his head, and he knocks himself out. Right, so he's out for a few hours. He wakes up, and he's dizzy, and he's got blood coming down his face, and he sees this big hairy thing looking down at him. He didn't know what the hell it is, and he blacks out again. He just remembers that he's being dragged by his feet through the woods, and his head is bouncing. More pain, right? So he doesn't know how many hours go by, but he wakes up, and he's in a cave, and there's a fire way off in the cave somewhere, but he's in the darker corner. There's a little light from the fire reaching him, and he's bloodied, but there's some kind of bandaging system on him. And what he considers to be a female come over and checks his wound. She's very gentle with him, and she's gigantic, by the way. She's at least 7 feet tall, and huge breasts, so she's covered in hair, and they smell horrible. But so she's doing something. She's rubbing more shit, and he blacks out again. A couple days go by. He's apparently thinks a couple days. He wakes up, and they're feeding him this mossy shit. And he eats it. He retches it up the first time. The second time, he keeps it down. Basically, these creatures nursed him back to health. And when it was time for him to go, to be on his own again, if you will, released back to the wild, they motioned him to follow him, and the big male. And he's not afraid of him at this point because they took care of him. He's not friends with them. They're not hanging out with him. They're not arguing. They're not doing shots. But he notices they know how to make fire. He knows that they have some kind of family unit. or structure, community structure. And they take him back to the spot where he had was fallen, and his gun is still there. So he picks up his gun, and they kind of blend back off in the woods, and he turns around and waves. One of them waved back at him. He kind of did the same thing, mimicking what he did. And he goes back, and he said he never went back to the spot until he was about 65 years old. He went back. The cave was actually on the side of a ravine. It had been filled in over the years from rainwater and whatever, so it was all filled in, so it wasn't there anymore. And but he said he could swear when he was leaving, he thought he heard, one of the famous shrieks, when he was walking back out. And he never gave the location. He refuses because he doesn't want these things to be bothered. He's pretty sure they're still in the vicinity, if not that same area, but close to it. And I thought that was a very fascinating story, to see and to hear and to read encounters of that kind of thing. And there's many stories out there of these creatures, helping people that have been injured, not necessarily eating them like we like to hear today. But again, you have those stories about children disappearing in the woods, like we've talked about so many times, and adults, I don't know what that's all about. I really don't. Could be. I think if you look at the reports out west compared to reports on the East Coast, I think the Sasquatch out west is a much larger version. They always seem to be
more
bigger.
aggressive.
They're bigger, 10, 11, 12 feet tall, and they're more aggressive. Indians, lots of legends out that way, in Canada too, northern Canada, northwest Canada. These things you don't want to fuck with. They're the kings of the forest, if you will. You leave them alone. You give them a wide berth. Interesting stories.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure I want to beat one, but.
Well, it was a great story. This guy was. This is in New Hampshire. Yeah, this is New Hampshire, and he's going fishing with his buddies, and they go to the same spot all the time. They're fishing there. So they went one evening, some night fishing, and they got there about 6:30. So it's just starting to come down, and they're all walking to this trail. And it's about a mile hike into where they go fishing.
Right.
And they're walking, and he's like, shit, he forgot the certain tackle thing he wanted to bring with him. He's like, I'm gonna go back. They're halfway back. I'm gonna go back. He's like, all right, we'll meet up to you later. Okay. So they go down. This guy starts heading back to the car, and he's comes around. And he just says a hair stand up on his neck, and you don't understand why. He smelled something fucking horrible. He couldn't figure out what it was, and what this horrible smell. And he just feel like something was watching. And he comes around the bend on this trail, and there's this creature. He goes, it was 12 feet tall, filled with hair, just standing there. And it was massively huge, he goes. And he's literally from me to you, because he comes up, it was like a tight bend, and right there. And there's another one, right over here. There's two of these things, right? And he looks at it, the creature just stares at him. This massive creature. And this guy said, I immediately started pissing my pants, and I looked down. He goes, he looked down because he wanted submission. He said that thing could have reached out any minute and snapped his neck like that. There would be nothing you could do about it. Could just reach it because the thing was massive. He goes, the arms, the forearm was bigger than the guy's head. He said his forearm alone was bigger than my head. This is how massive this creature was. This one was 12. He goes at least 12 feet tall. It was huge, and the creatures looked at him. They didn't make any aggression. One looked younger. He goes, you remember on the corner, you looked at it on a corner eye, and it was kind of swaying back and forth, like it wasn't sure what to do. And eventually, he heard a whistle. And then the big one put his fingers in his mouth, this is where I have to whistle, and whistled back. So there was at least 3 of them at this point. And then another whistle comes from over here. So now there's 4 of these creatures. This guy's standing there in a pile of his own piss, right? Scared of looking at the fucking ground going, I'm going to die right here. This thing's going to pick me up and smash my head against that tree. The creatures blended the forest, right? He stood there for 10 more minutes until he had enough nerve to move past where they were. He gets back to the car. He opens the door. He climbs on the back seat and lays down and shuts the door. He's in shock. He goes into complete shock. His friends come back. They come back like midnight. They find him in the car and they're like, "Whoa, what happened?" And he doesn't want to tell them,
Right.
because he thinks they're gonna think he's fucking nuts, right? So he told him I fell asleep in the car. They're like, all right, well, then he drove out of there, right? He said the minute they left, it was the happiest minute of his life. That guy, true story, has not been back in the woods since. He's given up fishing. He said, I'll never go fishing again. I'll never go in the woods again. He owned a house. He sold his fucking house because it was woods on his property. He moved in town. I mean, like, that's how bad this guy's life was destroyed. I mean, it was by the sudden, the shock that he felt was completely destroyed. He had to get away from the whole thing. Am I a bad storyteller? You seem to be yawning.
No, I'm very tired. It was a long weekend. We spent 8 hours on the road for a 5-hour fare. I mean, we stayed there for more than that, but
Right.
no, I'm very tired. I can tell you're tired. I'm soaking it in. Depends on not cracking jokes as you're saying it.
Yeah.
It means I'm like focused on what you're saying.
That's good.
Usually I'm interjecting humorous sidekick things. No, that is, and I think it is interesting. I think the fact that, because like I said, we talked about this, like, I know I've said that, as a youth, my parents, we would always go camping, go like Bowman Lakes, state parks, and like that. And I'd go out in the woods, I'd be gone for hours. Like, I just, not a care, not a thought. We'll just go out,
Got that link. It was nice.
exploring and be gone. These are, the campsite's pretty clear, but it's got trees, but then it gets thicker and move deeper into the wooded area. And yeah, it's just crazy to think about that kind of stuff going on, but never, my youth. I mean, the books and the TV shows and the movies and Bigfoot and stuff, and I didn't think if I guess I didn't put two and two together. I wasn't really a Bigfoot. I found it interesting, but I wasn't a Bigfoot enthusiast. But they gave the man a part on a major TV show. They incorporated this thing into a $6 Million Man episode. I think it was a 2-part episode, actually.
Yeah, it was. It was 2-part.
I think it was a 2-part episode, actually. And then they make the Bigfoot be bionic as well, a mechanical creature from aliens that were observing Earth, whatever. But I find that interesting. I find all the cryptozoology things interesting.
Who played the Sasquatch? I don't remember. You told me once before. You knew the answer to this. I knew it too, and I forgot. You reminded me. It wasn't Andre the Giant, was it?
I think it was.
Yeah, it was Andre the Giant.
I think it was.
Yeah,
I'd have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
And all the crypto, the Loch Ness Monster and the Mothman and Jersey's Devil Dog and Demon Dog, whatever it is, and
The Jersey Devil.
The Jersey Devil, and that's kind of like a Mothra thing, Mothman thing. Mothra. Same difference. Same difference. I find it all interesting, and knowing what I know, I can't just say it's not, because I believe in ghosts. So if I believe in ghosts, I gotta at least give the rest of this shit a fighting chance to be real and not real. So yeah, it's interesting. But this is one of the things that I want to experience it, but I'm pretty sure I don't want to experience it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like I said, I'm just bait, because I ain't running, and if I am, I ain't running long. So either I'm going to try to defend myself, or I'm just going to be a snack watch. Be a snack watch. But yeah. So, but there's so much going on right now. So many things are into a revival. The cryptids and UFOs. We talked about this last few shows. Big revival in the UFO thing, and more stuff coming out. And we are being visited. We have been visited. They're living among us. They're,
Well, I'm I had talked about this on the old show, Let's Talk Ghost, when I first, my second interview. I did an interview about Sasquatch, 1 hour show we did. It was a great show, actually. And I covered so much in this show, it was unbelievable. And Steve asked a lot of good questions. Steve and Will, and Dan asked a lot of great questions, which, like, wow, I forgot how much information I had in my little head about Sasquatch until I started asking questions. And then the second show we did, I think we got into UFOs. They had me on, and then I became part of the show. But we did UFOs, and I said, I told them, I said, I outlined everything in a very logical way, and I said, to me, it's almost like there's an awareness program happening, like a softening, if you will. There's leaks all over. The truth is out there.
Oh, yeah.
Like it says, we'll find that poster, but it really is out there. The truth has been released. It's just figuring out what parts of that truth are actually true. Because what they do is they pump out a shitload of propaganda at the same time, so it makes it very hard to shift through everything. You don't understand?
Yeah. Oh, no,
so they can't say we didn't hide it. It was been out there. It's been released. You can't say we had, it's out there. And I think, now with, shit being on CNN and Fox News and NBC and all these sightings and pilots coming out and, pilots had come out before, so that's, in radar tapes, before we had radar tapes before this. This is different now. Now it's like the backing in the Pentagon and shit. This is a completely different feel to it. This is mainstream. So, we're being readied, I think, for something. That's just my opinion. So.
Well, right, and I think, like I said, there's a lot of things that are now becoming more mainstream, more acceptable. With all this stuff. Shot number 2, Tippy Cow, Orange, Creamsicle. This should be fairly smooth.
There's to swimming with bull-legged Sasquatch.
Snatch watches. Yeah, that's good. No?
I like it.
Yeah, that's good.
I love this stuff. I like that. That's good stuff.
Big about that. No ice cream blender.
Yeah, that's good shit.
It's a party.
Yeah.
It's a party.
I would go with ice cream. You're right. Good shit.
Part of the thing we were talking about Josh Gates at the beginning of the show, and they've had the NC thing. He was falling back in the whole scientific method, and that's when the ghost hunting, hit TV and stuff. It was all about the scientific method, and we had to be able to prove this and prove that to be, And to his point, I get his point that you can't duplicate an EVP on demand. Like, you can't just say, go back to the same location a week later and say, hey, can you repeat what you told me last week? And it's going to come through the same way. It doesn't work that way. So I think a lot of this stuff is, until science can prove it, we're not going to buy into it until we actually find the Bigfoot corpse or one in captivity, or we're not going to buy into it. Although even as current as a few years ago, they're still finding species that are being labeled as new species that we never knew about in the world. Granted, not the size of a Sasquatch, but these are things that either they thought were extinct and weren't, or it's a brand new freaking species that no one knew anything about, which I get. It doesn't mean that it's been here for a long time. It could have been just a new species. But
it's kind of like that video, or that show we did about creatures of the deep. Remember? And all the different videos that I know I saw. I don't know if you saw those videos, but some of that shit, like hands, they're a mile under the water or some shit, and there's a webbed hand coming and slaps on the fucking. You can see it on camera and shit. These are oceanologist people, with grants and shit like that. They're not down there fucking around making jokes.
No.
These guys just startles anybody else.
And I get, a lot of our myths and legends, things like the unicorn and stuff, and to Josh's point, it's a good point that a lot of things maybe were started because of fossils and bones that were found.
Right.
So a unicorn, they could have found an old narwhal. Somehow it was washed up. They found it. Narwhal's got this huge spike coming out of its head. It's basically a unicorn that can swim. You know, there was some. He started talking about the legend of the Cyclops and things like that, and actually produced a couple skulls. That, if you were to look at the skull, there's just one big huge socket in the middle of the skull where you would think an eye would go. But in reality, it's actually some kind of dwarf elephant. And that hole is where the trunk goes up into a sinus. But there was no flesh to know that there was an elephant or that it was a trunk. So I get that. I find it crazy. I guess the crazy part for me is that we haven't come across remains all this time.
Oh, what, Sasquatch?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's pretty easy to.
Well, I mean, and they probably, again, I think if they are nocturnal, they're quave devils. Okay, I'm lightweight and can't drink Tipsy Cow anymore. Yeah, I'm sure we wouldn't. I mean, unless you weren't into those caves, and I think that's where they take their dead.
Well, I look at it like this. Been in the woods most of my life, with my father and that kind of thing. Just wish I picked up more shit from him. But I can count on one hand how many times I found a deer carcass once. And again, I grew up in the woods. You know, we had a house in the woods. And I can count on one hand how many times I found a bear carcass, 0. And I can count on one hand how many times I found a bird skeleton, 0, or a chipmunk or a squirrel or anything like that. Because, interesting study, go on YouTube and look at, type in deer carcass monitored as it decomposes. Just put that in there. And you'll watch over, it's literally like a 3-day period or a 4-day period. They put a deer carcass out in the woods, they put a video camera on it, see how fast it would decompose and what would happen to it. And the creatures immediately from the woods, all different types, squirrels, chipmunks, all the fucking little bastards, birds, all take pieces all the same. The little smaller ones take the bones and scurry off. Mm-hmm. You know, the bigger animals break up. It's gone. Within a week, that carcass is 100% destroyed and gone. There's no evidence there was a carcass ever there. And that happens with, you're not going to walk in the woods and find a bear carcass. It never fucking happens.
But why do we find human carcasses weeks, months after they've been killed out in nature?
Something about...
Do you know what I'm saying, though?
No, that's an interesting point.
And if Bigfoot is a chain, a link, possible link in that chain, is it because he's more animal? You know what I'm saying? I get what you're saying about it, and you're right. Now that I think back on it, it's a rarity that you find. You mean you might find a little bird skull or something every now and then,
right?
Things like that. But this is a big creature. This is bigger than a bear. This is bigger.
No,
this is a man-sized creature, and we find, police find human corpses all the time. Otherwise, we'd be a lot more serial killers in
But we're also going on the premises that you remember a human has a certain scent. You know, animals are well aware of what human smells like, and they stay away from, I think, even a dead carcass. At least that's what I would think. A Sasquatch doesn't have the same scent. It's something different, you know. And on top of that, I don't think Sasquatch is. They're highly intelligent. They're not dummies. And what I mean by that is they have a social structure. They know how to make simple tools. They know how to stay out of sight, obviously. They don't use stealth. They don't need to work in groups. They hunt in groups. I'll tell you all kinds of stories about that. So I would assume that they have some kind of burial practice where they're dead. There could be some kind of ritual that they do. Again, this is all conjecture on my part. I get that, but there's obviously some kind of structure to this species, from what I've read and reports I've seen and that kind of thing from eyewitnesses. So I would assume that they have kind of burial practice, perhaps. The giant Capithius, which you know, we only know exist because we found a few teeth in some fucking caves in Manchuria or some shit.
Right.
And you used to be able to find the teeth all the time in the bones, but the natives felt it was medicine. They had these gigantic teeth. They grind them down and powder it.
True.
Put water and mud in and shit and drink the shit like shots. So a lot of the evidence has been destroyed, but we still have a few teeth that we know there was once a giant ape that walked on two legs. It was called Gigantopithecus. I always screw up the last name, but anyway, it went extinct like 100,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago. I remember anymore. It was 100,000 years ago. Anyway, and it was huge. You know, get up to 12 to 16 feet in height. It was a gigantic. It was Gigantopithecus. It was huge, and it walked on two legs. So we know at one time the environment had a creature such as a Sasquatch. Maybe today's modern Sasquatch is a little bit smarter. It's evolved, like we've evolved from Cro-Magnon, got smarter over the years. That the Sasquatch we have today could be an offshoot of Gigantopithecus. Just a thought, throwing it out there. Good. Just that. Yeah. I'm tired.
I am tired.
Okay.
So, yeah, enough time to go back. So, I got another tidbit of news, but I can't say anything about it right now.
All right, don't say anything about it.
Very hush.
Hush, hush.
Hush, hush. Maybe off the air, I'll tell you.
Okay, yeah. Tell me off the air.
Off the air.
You can't dangle a carrot for them. You dangled the carrot for
No,
me about the demon
no,
thing.
no.
I didn't get involved with the demon thing. I was really pissed about that, by the way, for a long time. I took the
never-
night off. I took the night off from work and
Never-
everything. I had it all
never
set
done
up. I was
anything.
going to go. I was all excited.
Yeah, no.
I got fucked out of that.
Alright, we'll talk about this off the air. Off the air, the video turned off. Just you and I talking. But, yeah, good show. Sasquatch, a lot of Sasquatch.
Yeah, a lot of Sasquatch.
Not a lot of Trump, a lot of Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Of course, there was that video that has Sasquatch and Trump walking.
I didn't see that one yet.
You haven't seen that one?
No.
They do the Peterson one
Yeah.
in Sasquatch walking. They got a picture of Trump walking,
Huh.
and they're like the same kind of stride, the same kind of.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's pretty
Oh,
odd to
yeah.
look for and send it to
Yeah.
you. But anyways, there's still a lot of craziness going on. Still trying to impeach him. Solid secret. We talked about that. Other than that, not much else. Shit. Poop.
Shit figurines.
Shit figurines. Shit
Greek
figurines.
chick. Yeah. Husband
Shit.
stealing.
Shit figurines. I gotta make a memo of that so I remember to look that up.
Yes.
Yeah, that's too funny. I see a lot will not be allowed to listen to this show.
Yeah, you probably
No, probably not. So, until next week, I'm not sure we're going to talk. Any ideas about next week? What you want to talk about?
I figured it out.
Okay, because you were prepared this week for Godzilla. We didn't talk that long about Godzilla, but
Yeah, I mean, it was a short.
it was a
Because I
short.
thought I was going to find more information, guys.
But no.
This is all
No,
police.
it's
So
not.
kind of bummed
It's
me out,
bunch of
you know.
shit.
I was hoping
No.
to see some dragon fucking reference or some shit, but there was nothing.
No, they referenced him to a fucking shark.
Yeah.
Fucking really? Spielberg.
I don't know.
Spielberg, you county bastard. Or are you? Anyways,
He
actually, he's
he made
famous.
Close Encounters of the Third
He's
Kind.
famous, so I can say whatever I want about this guy. He's famous, I can say what I want. Spielberg, you county bastard.
Comedy Day.
Gave you inspiration for Jaws. Whatever. Moron. Anyhow. Godzilla!
Oh.
Japanese. Should have dropped a few more bombs on
Oh,
him. Anyways,
horrible.
horrible.
He said that, not me. He said that. Oof.
Because Truman was too much of a pussy.
Oh,
MacArthur.
no, that was China. He wanted to
Yeah,
drop
whatever.
China.
Should have dropped more bombs.
No,
Anyways.
Truman was a pussy. That's another show.
That posted that
We
too.
should do a whole show on that, by the way, sometime.
Truman
Or at least a
Truman
good half
being
an
a
hour,
pussy?
an hour show. Yeah, Truman.
Yeah, you probably should.
China and Russia or Soviet Union at the time. So.
Oh, that's what I was listening to today. Someone just put a book out. Brett Barr. He's a TV.
Yeah, I know he is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just did a book, and he picks these odd moments in history, and does like a look at them, and just to get beyond just what was on the surface. And his recent book is about some meeting. It was back in World War II. 1943, where the U.S. president, who was Roosevelt at the time, and someone else, his name was Churchill, met with Stalin
Yeah.
in Tehran.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
All right. So. And that.
There's a famous photograph of there.
Yeah. Is that what? I thought that was something else. I thought that was something else.
They had a few summits together. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was the photograph one. I thought was something else, but anyways, so he got there by ship.
Yeah.
And so Roosevelt's on the ship. He's got this whole battle group protecting him. And the one story that's in this book, the guy was telling about on the radio today, is that there was some screw up with one of the ships, and it must have been an anti-submarine ship or something. But this ship launched a torpedo, and it was a mistake. It was supposed to be an exercise.
Torpedo away!
Well, yeah, it was supposed to be an exercise, and it was actually a live torpedo, and it launched, and it was headed right for the Iowa. I think that was the ship that he was on, the Iowa. So this has the president, all the chiefs of staff, all this stuff,
Yeah, right.
and the captain made the right maneuver. He turned into the torpedo and closed in on it, and it just missed them and exploded like 1,000 yards past the ship and stuff. But I'm just thinking, how's that not making the history books?
Yeah, no shit, yeah.
So I might have to look up some of this guy's stuff and maybe get some of his books. And
Wallow, you stupid fuck!
can you just? It's just crazy. Like,
Well, you know what?
it's like a scene from F Troop where they blow up the guard tower.
You have to look up the war history of Mel Brooks. Funny man, Mel Brooks.
Oh, world history?
He is actually a war hero. I didn't know that. Look up the story.
Yeah.
I don't want to get it wrong,
Okay.
but I know he is an actual documented, I think it was World War II war hero. So interesting tidbit about him. And I don't want to get the story wrong, so I don't want to say
Yeah,
it. But definitely Mel Brooks was a war hero. I did not know that.
I think back then there were a lot of people that were.
No, but he did something like really
Really?
fucking crazy. You know, it was World War II. It involved the Nazis.
Yeah,
He did something,
it would
and
be
he did something
World War
fucking
II.
crazy. He did something fucking crazy like no one. That's what he did. Okay, I'm gonna paraphrase a little because I know some of the details. It's coming back to my head now. But so they're fighting the Nazis in German, in this fucking town, and there's all this Nazi propaganda going off across the fucking radios, right? So he climbs up, he kills, the propagandist guy in the tower, and it's got the Hitler speaking, the record playing, and he pushes the guy out of the way, kills him, and he finds something that's related to America, in their plane. He puts that on, and it's just all this American shit, now instead of all this Nazi propaganda going out and German propaganda and all this intense fighting's going back and forth. And it was like an inspiration to the troops, like, hey, we just went from Nazism to good old American USA. Let's kick some fucking ass. It was like this inspirational thing he did, and I just thought it was a really cool
I'll
story.
look it up.
You know,
Yeah, I'll
so,
look it up.
yeah.
That sounds fun. All right. All right. So we're gonna wrap this up because it's almost time. It's actually 3 hours, so we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Until next week, we're gonna find some topics. We're gonna talk about some stuff. Let's see what's going on this coming week. I might have some paranormal stuff going on, but whatever. We'll talk about UFOs. Talk about Trump UFOs, UFOs and Trump. Martians for Trump.
Martians for Trump.
Martians for Trump.
I should get a bumper sticker that says that. That's awesome.
Martians for Trump.
Oh, we should make that. See, this is the kind of thing we can make money
We
on.
should.
This is the kind of thing we can make money on. It'd be
Martians
huge.
for
You
Trump.
put that in fucking over to the Facebook, we'll have all kinds of orders.
I'm gonna make that our sponsor for tonight's show. Martians for Trump. So when you look up our podcast, like up until now, I've always put a picture of our logo on the podcast. But last week, I dug up the Area 51 weather balloon repair ad and put that on. So I may do Martians for Trump. I'll see if I can do designing a Martians for Trump poster and putting it on for our logo this week. But yeah, Martians for Trump. That's gonna. We're gonna end the night on Martians for Trump.
I like that.
2020. Remember the Martian? Down Trump. Actually, get rid of Pence.
Yeah. Pence is the fucking Martian.
Trump and Martian. Pence is something. He's a Clement on my Uranus. Anyways, woo! All right, we are done. We are out. Thank you for listening. All right, we're done with that.
All right, okay.
What you gotta do. Put on the lights.
Oh yeah.
Turn off the video, and then I can plug in my thing and download.
Stop recording.